Hey everybody, it's Knothead here again, just doing another quick video talking to some of the newer racers at the track this past Sunday. Just going in to have a good club day, talking about my sweep tires, what I've been running, what I've been liking, kind of what I feel about them right now. So I figured I'd go ahead and put something together real quick, just based on my personal experiences and also feedback from other racers. So what I'll start with is the tires that I didn't like and maybe the reasons why I didn't like them at first. I still have a lot of testing to do, so these are just initial feedback based on the tires that I have currently. I'll start out with the micro contacts. These are in a gold compound. I do label all my tires. Probably the reason why I didn't like these guys, first and foremost, is it's too soft of a compound. It's a really soft compound. I ran it when it was probably not cold enough for them, and the tire was folding over on it. I will say that part of the initial reason why I didn't like them is because there was way too much steering. But I ordered a set in a silver compound, something a little bit harder, and I'm willing to give them another shot, just because other feedback I've gotten has been stellar. I gave a set to try to Colt Preston in a yellow compound, and he loved them. They're fantastic. And I know Carl De Lenardi runs them primarily in blue. So I'm willing to give them a try. My initial feedback on the gold's too soft, too much steering, too edgy. But hopefully a harder compound will make them a little bit better. These guys will be good at Indy RC World or any hard pack track once it starts grooving up a little bit, and there's not a lot of dirt or dust or mud. But these are micro contacts. It's a micro pin tire, very similar to a whole shot, not quite like a Fugitive. The other tires I did not like are the whips. These guys I have in blue compound, and why I didn't like them is because of unpredictable slide. I couldn't anticipate what the car would do with the tires on. They are in a blue compound, so they're probably a little too hard for what today was or what yesterday was, but that being said, another tire I'm going to get to in the same compound didn't really have that negative effect on me. Other feedback I've gotten on them from other racers at the track, they absolutely love these. They're throwing down some really fast laps. From what I have seen from other racers at the track running sweep tires, these are probably one of the fastest tires. I didn't like them due to the unpredictability of it. It is a larger pin. It's very similar to a Blockade. It's not quite as large of a pin and not quite as close. It would be a good all-around tire to take anywhere, especially if it is a little wet, a little dusty. It still will work on a hard pack groove track. Probably won't be the fastest, probably won't be the slowest. But that's the whips. To the tires that I did like, and in no particular order, the sweepers. These are very similar to a whole shot. I ran these last Tuesday when they had the track really wet. It was kind of cold. On a wet track, they were fantastic. They had tons of forward bite. They're not edgy at all. They were pretty quick. I ran them all night long. I did not change them when the track changed. That being said, I didn't feel that I was any slower when the track changed, although I could have gone to a different compound, different tread pattern, and probably been a little bit better. Probably still a little too soft for when I was running. These are in the yellow compound, but they were still a really good tire. I really enjoy these sweepers. I will be getting more, probably hovering mostly around the silver compound, which is something I'm going to address here in a minute. But I do highly recommend sweepers for anybody who is interested in those. These are the Pixels, and they are probably so far my favorite tire. They are the closest to a Fugitive you can get. They're not edgy. They have an absolute ton of forward bite. These are in a silver compound. I ran these 2 weeks ago on a Tuesday night, and so far I think they have been my fastest sweep tire. Good when the track is grooved up. Not really when it's still kind of wet. It needs to be mostly dry. Just like a regular fugitive tire would be. It needs to be dried out, grooved up, just a little bit. But these are amazing. I love these, and I think, like I said, getting to the compound, I think silver compound is where I'm going to stay at most of the time. It's kind of like somewhere between an S3 and an S4 and a Proline tire. But the Pixels so far have been my favorite tire. And then what I ran yesterday were the Revolts. And I ran these in a blue compound. And what I like about these guys is it's kind of a weird, I've never seen a tire like this. It's a weird directional pin. The way I have this mounted up, this is the right front tire. The way I have this mounted up, you can mount it in one of two ways. You can mount it for forward bite, or you can mount it for side bite steering. And I have it mounted for forward bite, and it's based around this V in the middle. If your V is pointing backwards, that's for forward bite. If you flip the tire and the V is mounted forwards, that's for your side bite. What I liked about these tires a whole lot, even though they probably were still a little too hard, maybe just some sauce on them would have freed them up a little bit, was the predictability of the slide. So much like the whip had a bunch of slide in it, these, whenever I did slide, I could go on power and the tire would engage and grip, and it would almost immediately pull me out of any kind of slide I had. These are probably my second favorite sweep tire right now. I ran it when the track was a little wet, and even still when it was dry, and it was an insane tire. I was able to do the back triple on the current layout at NDRC World 99% of the time with no issues. The few times I did have issues with it probably was just because I didn't have it lined up enough to try the triple, but I did it anyway. I have these guys currently with AKA foam in it, but the sweep foam I'm noticing is still just as good as anything else. So I wouldn't hunt down any different foams unless you really just want to try it. But I'm not noticing any difference in performance between sweep foams and any other foams. My recommendations for tires at NDRC World, based on feedback, based on personal experience. Revolts when it's somewhere kind of in between, kind of wet, kind of dry. Sweepers when it's really wet and kind of muddied up, but not real soupy. Micro contacts, if I can find them again. Micro contacts in a silver compound, or maybe a yellow. When the track is dried out, kind of grooved up, or even when it's just before it's grooved up and it's still kind of wet. Those would be my three tires that I would recommend based on feedback. And then whips is an all-around tire, anywhere it works. Again, probably mostly in a silver compound. Great feedback on those guys. I'm the only one who's run Revolts, so take my word for it, or don't. That's your choice. And then Pixels. By far, Pixels would be my number one choice when the track is grooved up, just because it's basically just like a Fugitive. It runs tons of forward bite. It's not really edgy at all. It is a really fast tire from what I've run, so I would highly recommend Pixels when the track is dry, and probably sweepers, Revolts, and micro contacts, kind of in that order. I do have some micro contacts coming in the silver compound. I'll give those a try, and I'll give another feedback video on those, and I'll try to get other ones in more of a silver compound as they become available, and kind of react to those as well. Thanks for tuning into this video. I hope it helps you out if you're racing at NDRC World or anywhere else that's hard pack tracks.